Hello, guys. Today we're going to be talking about Avengers Endgame. And, oh boy, I can't wait for it to come out on DVD or Netflix and watch it both with Infinity War back to back. Oh my goodness. It is literally a 5-hour storyline that does not disappoint. But, a lot of people are saying that, Endgame is overhyped now. It's over. People think that it's better just because of all the fan service they got, and I believe that this is like the Deathly Hollows, right? Except it's flipped. I think the good stuff happens in part one, and then better stuff happens in part two for Harry Potter, the Deathly Hollows. But for Avengers Endgame, Infinity War, I think it's flipped like that. Like, Infinity War was better if there was no context of other movies besides the Avengers movies. As you know, Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Spider-Man got sequels released and announced before Endgame even came out, so everybody knew that those characters were going to survive. But it's all about the journey. Which is why people wanted to watch Endgame, because it can't have ended like that. That's not a superhero movie. That was a Thanos movie. This is a superhero movie. I mean, following the same superhero construct as the superhero always wins. The protagonist always wins, or there's no consequence, or there is a consequence. But if there was no consequence at the end of Endgame, Infinity War wouldn't have mattered, really. Everything just gets bundled up, and everyone's like, well, why do we have Infinity War then? But like, that's not what happened. A lot of things happened in Endgame, and we're going to talk about spoilers. So there's just one spoiler thing that I will mention right now. It's that time travel. Okay, the trailers made it pretty obvious that there was going to be time travel involved because of Black Widow's hair, Ant-Man returning, and a bit more stuff. At the end, there were suits. In the trailers, there were suits of there were their mission suits, their time travel suits, because why would everyone have to wear the same thing? It's because everyone has to wear it because they can't protect themselves against the forces in the quantum realm without it. Otherwise, they would wear all the same things that they're wearing right now. So yeah, time travel was inevitable. So, thing that Endgame really gave us a heads up on is the multiverse. Because of time travel, you can have reality splitting in different dimensions. And here's a spoiler. Here's a real spoiler here. You can click off this video now if you want to. But after the Hulk tries to go and get the Time Stone, he had a conversation with, I forgot her name. I feel like they call her the One, so I'm just gonna call her the One. But like, they have a conversation about splitting timelines, and if you take a stone from a reality that will need the stone in the future, completely split the reality into another timeline, and that can't happen. And the Hulk reasoned that if we just use it and then bring it back right where we found it, your timeline will not have any discrepancies. However, there are two things that happen in this movie that would disrupt the timelines regardless, because that has to do with the death of a couple characters. That's the spoiler. Another spoiler, more spoilers. I mean, you would have clicked off if you weren't turned off by the next spoiler movie. Next spoiler warning, not movie. But Thanos invading through the quantum realm into the present. So that's the thing, right? He invaded somehow. Somehow he invaded. He ejected the pin particles to every part of his ship. And he invaded. They got into the big war thingy, mabobber, and he died. He died. Nebula died. The old Nebula. The Nebula from the timeline where Thanos does not have the stones. And Gamora is not dead, but she's free. And she doesn't have memories of any of the Guardians, because that hasn't happened yet. So the thing about this is that there is no timeline now. There's a timeline. There's multiple timelines where Thanos is dead before he gets the stones. Before he reigns terror to get the stones. And that's insane, right? Like, look, there's no conflict now to getting the stones unless someone else wants it. And we're probably not going to see that in the MCU unless there's another problem in those timelines where they have to contact another timeline in order to fix that. There is no Infinity War in that timeline. So the Avengers may not even meet Captain Marvel, may not even meet the Guardians of the Galaxy. There's a lot of things that would not have happened, and the Infinity Stones would be up for the grabs for anyone who's strong as Thanos to get it. Now, the other thing with Thanos' death and Nebula's death is that even if Nebula, there's no Nebula in that timeline, so she's not in the Guardians of the Galaxy. But Gamora, would you return Gamora to that original timeline, all alone, no one to be with, and I think Nebula played a central role in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 with Ego. So maybe more than a person like Yondu would die or something like that. But and also there's no Gamora, so Peter Quill, I don't know what's gonna happen with him in that timeline. I don't know what the Guardians of the Galaxy is, because maybe there are no Guardians. Maybe it's just Guardians without Gamora. But in that timeline, there is no Thanos or anyone related to Thanos, because they all died in that war. Now the second thing here, the second spoiler in terms of character deaths, character placements, is Captain America going back to time through time to replace the stones. Now, he didn't go back. And this changes a lot of things, because I remember seeing it in a video by some explainer guy. Like, SHIELD was basically built off of out of the government not having access anymore to any superhuman people with superhuman capabilities. And SHIELD was formed because they were trying to protect themselves without this, because it was basically their only successful trials. And what happens to SHIELD? Does the Avengers get created? Is there different relationships between people like that, or does Hydra create SHIELD? Or does Hydra not do anything? Is Hydra even there anymore? And there's a lot of things that are loose ends here. And although Captain America will still exist, I'm not sure if there's a lot of things you could do about it, except for if Peggy Carter keeps her relationship with Steve Rogers a secret throughout the decades that he would have to be in hiding in order for SHIELD to form. Peggy Carter wouldn't have told anybody about Steve. Maybe if she told someone about Steve, they might not do anything. They might not even form SHIELD. How about if Captain America formed SHIELD and got rid of Hydra in the long run? What if Captain America made the SHIELD initiative at the start? I have no idea. But there's a lot of things that I feel are loose ends that could be tied up in next movies that might deal with time travels or the multiverse. However, this is the last spoiler. That doesn't pertain to anything. It's just the post credits. And a lot of people are like, oh, I know that I was one of them. I was like, what does that mean? What is that metal clanging sound? It wasn't until I looked up what it was, and I think the best explanation was just that it's all been built up to this. Iron Man getting captured by the terrorists, forced to build his first Iron Man suit, and that kind of kick-started everything. The Avengers, everything, came up to this point up until Endgame, where sadly, members of the Six will not return, and that's a shame. But those are the consequences of having that Infinity War, of having to live through everything. And the thing with this version of time travel is that this is the world they're living in. It was a dystopia. It really was. Half the population died. Everyone was mourning. Then they all came back. And that didn't alter the timelines because that is still their timeline. They brought over a younger Thanos and killed him. Killed him. Everything is here like that. However, what if Thanos and Nebula never found out? What if Nebula wasn't caught? The future Nebula. What if she was never caught by Thanos, never knew the secrets? Thanos wouldn't have came, and the timelines wouldn't be distorted as they are now. There's a lot of mistakes in their missions to gather back all the Infinity Stones, and I think that was a mistake that cost a little bit too much, because now there's no Thanos in one timeline, and as I explained before, that's a lot of stuff that may or may not happen in any of the future films. Like this is a timeline where they killed a Thanos that is still as powerful as Thanos with the Infinity Stones, but this was a guy who would have destroyed half the universe, and he's just gone. There's a lot of things we talk about. I feel I'm just repeating a lot of stuff right now because I'm really excited about what could happen and what this actually means. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Endgame. I'm not sure what to title this video because I was like, maybe just timeline problems. I don't know, but hope you enjoyed this little talk. And don't spoil the Endgame for other people. This will have a spoiler tag, because I don't think people want to watch something that could have freaking spoiled like half of the plot. And yeah, that's pretty okay. I don't think there's any more timeline plot holes. I don't know. But if you do, just let me know in the comments down below. I'd say that's it. That's all I really wanted to talk about. See you guys later. Bye-bye.